All right. Hey everyone. So, just gonna do an update on my blockchain-based RPG, turn-based, my blockchain turn-based RPG that I'm working on right now on the side because at the moment Revulsion's still taking pretty much all of my focus. In fact, I'll probably have a Revulsion patch out tomorrow. Um, but I want to take a little bit of time to talk a little bit about progress being made on this prototype that I'm currently working on right now. Uh, so I think that the last time I showed this, I mentioned that I was going with the full like grid style methodology, but I ended up slowing down a bit because I wanted to spend a little bit extra time to really kind of come up with something that will work technically and feel right and everything like that. I'm still utilizing pretty much all of the same ideas in my older videos, but this one is going into a little bit more detail about like on the technical side of things. So basically, like when you make a bunch of commands, so like this is like a slash attack with the sword, right? And then it affects these tiles like this, right? So and it goes to his here and here and here, and like you can actually see what it looks like even when it's not centered on the character, stuff like that. And then you can rotate it, right? So I go like that. Now you see it makes an entry right here, slash to the east. Now the direction that the characters are facing matters when they finish their movement because being attacked from behind does more damage. And enemy units can't just pass through your characters. Your characters are actually obstacles, but your own teammates can pass through your teammates as though they aren't obstacles. So basically, anyone who's catching this right now, the goal here is to kind of combine the sort of combat strategy gameplay of something like Disgaea and combine it with open world-ish kind of gameplay of something like RuneScape or Ultima Online, with a touch of the Harvest Moon style Stardew Valley kind of stuff as well. And that's ultimately the what I want. So right now I'm still pretty much submerged, very much so within the technical side of things, as far as like how do I want the movement to work and how do I want the characters to take commands and all of that stuff. But like one of the first things that every player is going to start off in their it's going to be like a bomb hit it or something, or it'll be an area where it just needs you to take all the few characters that you created at the very beginning of the game, and then just begin fixing the place up. But then it'll also be very combat oriented. So like all of the crafting, all of the fishing, cutting down trees, monsters will fall out of the trees, like weird stuff like that. There'll be a strategy focus on combat that sort of permeates through all of even the activities of where you're trying to build your house and stuff. And I actually was chuckling a little bit at the idea of like, you lay down the foundation of your house, right? And then like as your characters are building it, like, stuff hears you from outside and like, a wild slime appears and now you have to send dudes over to kill the wild slime while you're building the house. Like I was actually laughing about that because it's kind of funny, but like literally everything that you're doing, even stuff where you're like building your house or fishing or whatever, there's always just going to be monsters appearing and trying to stop you, or they become the obstacle and you have to overcome them in some way. And so there's just combat in everything, like everything almost within reason. But the characters can interact and everything like that. Now I have the ability to tell the characters to like talk. So this right here means that Gelwin will uh, do a thing where she talks to Glavius, right? And if you tell a character to run up to a treasure chest and open it, then you would do this. You'd see a little treasure chest right here, and the character would go and do that. And some characters would have different stuff in interaction, like lockpick. You know what I mean? So you have this sort of like open world kind of thing, and you're building up your home, but you're also venturing out to towns and open places where there's just combat and stuff like that, and it's all on the blockchain. Now, a lot of people actually mentioned a little bit about like criticisms of the idea of, oh, you're just holding your game design back if you work with the blockchain or something like that. It's absolutely untrue. This particular type of game fits the blockchain paradigm so much, it's actually kind of hilarious to me. There's almost no reason not to do a turn-based style game like this, utilizing something along those lines with smart contracts in a blockchain. This particular paradigm of gameplay is better than a centralized database, because all of the stuff that you do in this will give you the opportunity to sell things on an auction house. It's permissionless. It does everything that it needs to do in such a way where you can watch other players play the game by simply looking at their transactions of their wallet while they're playing. And the client can actually see, okay, so he made these transactions and he did these things. So now you can actually see the characters run up and play the like animations and stuff. It's live streaming without even having to have live streaming. Not only does this, in a way, make it so that like you can even donate to somebody while they're playing the game. So like you can make a donation, but you could do things that Twitch has wanted to do for ages, where like a certain donate, you could buy a monster to spawn. You can level up the monsters if you spend like $5. You can level up the monsters on somebody and make it so that they have a harder time defeating all of it at any point in time. I mean, this is just stuff that I'm sort of spitballing, but you can watch somebody play and you can literally affect their experience in the game, because all it would take is to sign a transaction on the blockchain while they're playing the game utilizing those same smart contracts. So all of a sudden, a boss monster might spawn because somebody decided to spend, $5 or something like that while he was watching me play. But it also adds that extra layer as the developer, I can watch what other people are doing, and I can see how they're playing the game. Everybody, not just people who decide to run a Twitch stream, but literally every single person playing the game. If there's somebody's cheating, we can look at it. It's verifiable. We can literally have people who are watching other players at all times while they're playing. I mean, this is true for any game that's 100% on chain, right? And we can actually see everything that they're doing for either entertainment purposes or to make sure that, they didn't find some exploit or something like that. But on top of that, when it comes to these smart contract style game designs, blockchain, open public ledgers, a game based on an open public ledger, very hard to cheat. Very, very hard to cheat. In fact, that's one of the main things going on right now with smart contracts in general. It's expensive and it's challenging to find ways to duplicate items or any of that stuff. So not only is it permissionless, but duplicating items is extremely difficult on this kind of technology. In fact, it could literally just be limited to finite amounts and all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of different things that can be implemented in various different ways to make it so that people have a really difficult time cheating the system, even if they're botting and stuff like that. Well, you can also see, this guy's running a bunch of bots and stuff. Now, there's that as well. Being able to catch people who bot, stuff like that. Thing is, though, there's also an upfront cost to just playing the game in the first place, which is different in a lot of ways as well. It's a completely different take on something that's already existed for a very long time, and playing it all on an open public ledger just changes things in such a way where it is actually genuinely a new concept. And I feel like it's turn-based games, even if any kind of turn-based game actually, is going to be fantastic when it comes to blockchain gaming. Anything that you can think of that you've enjoyed that's turn-based works extremely well with this technology. Works really well. It provides all kinds of weird stuff that was really weird or never done before, or you know what I mean? Like it's actually really crazy. So maybe having some kind of an open world, RuneScape Ultima Online Disgaea strategy RPG is one way to go. People put card games. Card games are turn based. Um, you could play a pretty nasty game of chess, on a blockchain game. The only thing is that chess is a little bit simple, right? In terms of like being able to bot it, being able to, you know what I mean? There's no incentives there to get items that you can then sell to improve your characters and stuff like that. I definitely think that PvP is okay, but PvE is really where things are at when it comes to the overall arc. So if it was chess versus, some kind of PvE content where like you can level up your pawns or something, then yeah, hell yeah, you could make a fucking PvE based chess game where like you're modifying all of your chess pieces so that they do different stuff, and that'd actually be kind of smart idea actually. Holy shit. Well, anyway, that's the kind of mindset that I have for this kind of technology. So that's what I'm going to try and take advantage of when with this. And that's basically what this is right now. Um, so I have been making kind of progress just coming up with how I would do the movement and everything. So movement would only take two ST, which is stamina, right? But then attacking, like using my slash attack, would probably take four stamina. It would have a much higher stamina cost, right? And from that, like you would only be able to usually do like one or two movements to get a character into position and then perform an attack. But this would also go for two, like if you have a character who's like a woodworker or something like that, and he has a hatchet, you would be able to go to gear and you would see chop down tree or something. It would be like an attack that he could do to a tree. Or a fisherman, you might see like water like right here, and he can run up to the edge, and there would be a fishing spot thingy right here, which is essentially kind of the same as interacting with something. Instead of a treasure chest, you would require a fishing pole, and you'd have a special action that you would do to interact with that. And then you would have to position all of your other characters around your fisherman to prevent, like, as he goes to fish, monsters will begin spawning, and you'd have to like fight the monsters while he's doing that, and maybe you'd have to have some kind of like characters that are good against water creatures or something like that in order to do it. And from the fish that you could do, and then you can take that back to your house, and then you can make a stove and put it in one of the corners of the house that you built, and you'd begin cooking, and I guess cooking would start spawning monsters too or something. Actually, it would probably work a little bit differently. Like some things, like if you're working at a workbench, the workbench itself kind of becomes like the item world in Disgaea, and you would then have to traverse 10 floors in order to level up your cooking skill and make that item at the 10th floor by defeating the cooking general, and it would be like a or something like that. You know what I mean? So everything would end up coming back to combat, but you would have all of those aspects, the crafting, everything like that would all just sort of intertwine in that respect, and that's pretty much the design of the entire concept. And I think it's pretty much everything that I've talked about. I'm going to try and get a prototype. I've already talked about doing the prototype, but um, obviously right now Revulsion is my main focus. But I am still kind of cooking this up on the side. I don't. I mean, I think something like this needs to happen because I don't think enough people really understand what they're dealing with when it comes to this medium. Um, right now, a lot of people don't even understand like how you can utilize an open public ledger for gameplay, and I think that this something like this would just be absolutely top. It would be it. This would be it because not only like the more of the different crafting professions you have, the more people are encouraged to do combat. The more they're encouraged to do combat, the better the gear that they need to have in order to do that combat in the first place. It also gives them the ability to to craft all their own items if they don't want to have to buy those items from other players. But as you get higher and higher up, and you start getting better and better stuff, you're going to want to have to buy things from other players. So there will end up being a player-driven economy, and that legit means that like traversing 10 floors to kill the cooking general to make like 10 omelets or something like that that give you your characters like some kind of like stat boost or some shit for like combat or crafting or whatever. You would end up actually having this like ever turning need for players to cooperate with each other, maybe build communities, work together, be able to play together and stuff like that. And it's kind of exactly what those old school Ultima Online and RuneScape style MMORPGs uh, really want to be. But this would just turn the whole thing on its ear. Like you would end up having, I don't know, it would be really interesting because the currency that you'd be trading is actually a real currency, but it would feel like video game money to most people because they're not really aware of like what cryptocurrency really is and stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, I'll try to have more progress on this. Sorry, I ended up kind of just ranting about it, and there really wasn't a whole lot about the game itself. I mean, I pretty much showed everything that I have made progress on recently. There's still some things like I should be able to select this to select the character that would be standing there, right? Because um, Gallant here is according to this transaction, this list right here that I haven't submitted yet, he is actually standing over here at this point in time. Because if you look at Gallant, he's moving. He's facing to the east right here. He was moving, and then he was facing to the east over here. So he moved. So he did all these moves. He doesn't really have a whole lot of ST left, so he can't really do very much. I would actually, at this point, I would tell him to rest, which slowly recovers not just SP, it recovers your ST as well. Oh no, wait. Actually, your ST generates automatically. Your SP, which is your special points, would need you to rest in order to recover those. And then I would tell him to do that. Now you notice that this is a different color. It's because rest is an ability that is delayed. So that means that monsters that are attacking in the next turn can actually get between here using instant abilities that would actually be able to stop him from resting and stuff like that. So he needs to rest in places where monsters can't stun him or something like that. Otherwise, like, okay, so that's kind of that. There's also, I've talked about the instant abilities and stuff like that before as well. Now, let's see if I can show an instant ability. If you already have performed a regular ability that puts you on active mode, then your character won't be able to do an instant ability after that. You have to do instance first, then active, then delayed, if that makes any sense. I'll go into that a little bit more when I can actually show the actual gameplay. So with that said, alright, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to end this now. But yes, progress is still being made on this. Yes, I still feel very strongly about attacking this medium, which is the cryptocurrency medium, with this kind of a game where what you do is, and this is how they're all going to work because I think that this is pretty much it. Like, anyone could say that, oh, I'm going to make some other kind of game. I'm going to put a first-person shooter. No, you're not. I mean, you're going to try, but what the fuck is the point? This right here is how it works. You command all of the things that you want, you make a queue, and then when you end turn, that becomes a single transaction that the smart contract has to interpret and then determine whether or not all of these things are legit, and then perform all of those, then write that out to the blockchain and save it forever. Alright? That's how all of these games are going to work. And I'm definitely planning on taking it that far, okay? So, yes. I can't think of any other way to do it. I know people keep talking about doing things where it's like it's some other method, like it's like a hybrid where it's, you still have to depend on dedicated servers and stuff like that. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me to go that route because why bother? At that point, you might as well just stick to the old ways. It doesn't actually work with the medium. It's not trustless anymore. Like, I mean, I already talked about ownership of items before, but like, ownership of items is a meme if you're going to use that as a way to brag about, the advantages of it because one, players don't care. Your player base doesn't care about that kind of stuff. All right, all they want a fun game that they can play that works, within reason on that medium. They don't want to have true ownership. They're not libertarians. Most players don't care. Okay, they don't care about that. They already have enough ownership of their items, so that's not going to be the angle here. The angle here is that, hey, I have a fun game. It works in this thing. You're not going to even really notice, other than the fact that it's kind of expensive to play it. But it's true. It's going to be expensive for everybody to play it. But it does all these things that you might like with games like Ultima Online, Disgaea, and stuff like that. But it's just a fun game that you can play. And you know what I mean? You can learn more about the technology. Maybe it'll be easier to on-ramp out, to get people to play it. Maybe there won't be that many people playing it. Either way, it's just something that's cool that people can do, right? That's the best way to advertise it. The game itself is fun. Otherwise, otherwise nobody cares. Nobody's gonna want to jump onto this just because it's on the blockchain. Anyway, with that said, that's about all there is to say. All right, take it easy, guys.